Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News on TV1 for the News First team. I'm Nithmini De Silva. Let's start off with a look at the headlines.
IMF will continue to support Sri Lanka at its difficult times. University teachers call off strike. However, no decision on involvement with A-level paper marking. Rise in motor accidents. 6 fatalities in the past 24 hours. Kuwait news outlet unveils AI-generated presenter, Faida.
In the top story, Sri Lanka's central bank governor Dr. Nandalal Weerasinghe told Bloomberg that the country expects China to support its effort to restructure debts and help it begin repaying its obligations.
No, I hope, as they have done the right thing for Sri Lanka, giving us financing assurances last time, I think this is probably the first time China has given it that fast. Obviously, with the help of the IMF and other partners also helped to share information. We hope that China would, obviously China is a country that has been helping Sri Lanka for a long time, have invested a lot. It's best interest for China and Sri Lanka both to complete this process soon, and we can get back to repaying our debt service obligations sooner the better for both China and Sri Lanka. This is what we think. China will certainly support Sri Lanka. As we already expressed in public, they want to support Sri Lanka. We are confident that China will support as they have done in the last time also in the process.
The IMF on the 20th of March approved a $3 billion loan for the island nation to help bail it out of the worst economic crisis in decades. The multilateral lender's endorsement is also expected to provide a reform framework, unlock fresh funding and investments, and let the South Asian country begin restructuring its debt after an unprecedented default in May 2022. Sri Lanka last month took a key step toward winning the cooperation of its external bondholders for restructuring $84 billion in debt by agreeing to include local currency bonds in the program. The exercise, which will include the shorter-term treasury bills held by the nation's central bank and also some longer-term treasury bonds on a voluntary basis, is intended to reduce the burden on foreign commercial creditors.
2 weeks ago, I think we made an announcement in public on a very transparent manner how we intend to make a contribution from local debt optimization, where we announced that central bank holdings of T-bills would be considered for some treatment. And in addition, there will be voluntary treatment for treasury bonds that is comparable with other treatments, so that we want to make our contribution from the local side. And also, in terms of our contribution, we have already made commitments with the IMF in terms of primary surpluses in the fiscal deficit and also growth targets, inflation. All these things are our commitments. In addition, next step is to have some kind of domestic debt optimization. Then the sequencing is that after we announce that strategy, we are committed to announce our strategy by end of April. Then we will can continue the process with commercial creditors, asset bilateral creditors to make it complete.
A court in the United States recently denied a motion by the government of Sri Lanka to dismiss a lawsuit brought by Hamilton Reserve Bank following the default by the government of Sri Lanka on a sum of more than $257 million of bonds and interests that Hamilton had invested in. However, Dr. Weerasinghe said Sri Lanka will proceed a parallel process in this regard.
Now we have a parallel process. With the once we announce the domestic debt optimization process, then that will give us more information to both commercial and official creditors, so that they can continue that process going forward. I think we have a parallel. We are intend to go through the parallel track at the same time with commercial creditors as well as official creditors. And this is our plan going forward.
Dr. Nandalal Weerasinghe also said the most difficult reforms have already been implemented and there is a better understanding on the reform to move out of the crisis soon.
In my view, we have done most difficult reforms already. And what we can say, obviously, there are some opposition and kind of the pushback is coming from local, some of the affected parties. Now, there's a better understanding of the general public in Sri Lanka on the need of these reforms and continuation of these reforms and get out of this crisis sooner the better. I think we are confident that we will get the full support from the public. And going forward, the next step is once the complete restructuring, after that we are going to see the benefits of this program, and then only people will realize what is needed and why it's important to go through this process. This is the only way that we can recover the economy going forward.
Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe told Reuters that Sri Lanka's sovereign lenders have yet to inform the government how they will engage with the country to restructure its $7.1 billion of debt and whether they will form an official committee or engage in bilateral talks. He said that it's up to the creditors to decide, and Sri Lanka favours one platform as it would be easier to discuss and share information. When asked if the country would consider debt for nature swaps for all its overseas creditors, Veerasinghe said that those are useful and relevant financial instruments, though the country's main goal is to complete the debt rework process as soon as possible. He said that if creditors say that they would like to have those instruments, that it can be done within the timeline and do it fast, Sri Lanka is open to it. The Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, Kristalina Georgieva, said that it is important for everyone to come together to do their part to overcome the crisis in Sri Lanka.
IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva, in a meeting with State Minister Srihan Semasinghe, Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe and the Treasury Secretary M. Sirivardhana noted that the IMF will continue to support Sri Lanka at its difficult times. The meeting took place on the sidelines of the IMF World Bank spring meetings in Washington. State Minister Srihan Semasinghe noted that Sri Lanka has reaffirmed its commitment to complete the IMF bailout program. He said that Sri Lanka will also implement its ambitious reform agenda to achieve debt sustainability and restore economic stability. He had reiterated Sri Lanka's dedication at this historic time to build a prosperous country with the support and trust of its international partners by building on the lessons learned from the crisis. The State Minister had expressed his gratitude for giving leadership to support Sri Lanka to overcome the difficulties faced during the economic crisis. State Minister Srihan Semasinghe also represented Sri Lanka at the G24 meeting on securing sustainable and inclusive growth amidst emerging challenges. He tweeted that the meeting took place at a time when the world is gradually recovering from multiple crises, but global growth remains low with downside risks. The meeting provided a platform to discuss key areas where the international community and multilateral institutions can effectively support the policy efforts of emerging market and developing economies towards securing sustained and inclusive growth. A key part of this liquidity support and access to financing, both from official and private sources, in the near and medium term.
Sri Lanka's police has launched an investigation into the disappearance of 5 million rupees that was placed in the safe of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka.
Central Bank personnel had filed a complaint with the Fort Police over the missing cash. It is reported that the Central Bank has also launched an internal investigation into the incident.
The Federation of University Teachers Associations has decided to rejoin with university academics from the 17th of April 2023. The decision was reached following a meeting that went on until early on Wednesday morning, and the official announcement was made later in the day. However, no agreement was reached with regard to FUTA's involvement in the evaluation of the GC Advanced Level Examination answer scripts. University teachers launched a nationwide strike on the 9th of March against the government's latest tax reforms and several other issues. The Ceylon Teachers Union expressed their views regarding the delay in paper marking for the GC Advanced Level Examination.
19,000 teachers are required for the paper marking process of the GCE A-level examination. According to the last report of the Ministry of Education, 12,000 teachers have applied for this. This is a crisis. It's a problem for the children as well. The Education Ministry says that the students are facing a severe crisis. The ministry knows that this is a crisis. On February 22nd, when the paper marking process was scheduled to start, it was delayed. We knew that the crisis would begin. We could have discussed with the university professors and come to an agreement with them, but no agreement was reached. And we know that 19,000 teachers are coming so far. 19,000 out of 240,000 is not a big number. They have already decided to make a payment of 2,000 rupees. If it exceeds 80 kilometers, 2,900 rupees will be paid. It's not too difficult to make it 3,000 rupees.
The Freedom People's Congress has emphasized the need for compromise from among all political parties that consider people's sovereignty as supreme in order to free the country from the current crisis.
Issuing a statement, the Freedom People's Congress says that instead of the government's failed political agenda, there is a need to set up an enlightened political agenda as soon as possible. The statement was issued after all the representatives of the Freedom People's Congress gathered in Eheliagoda for 2 days and engaged in in-depth analysis of the current behaviour of the national and international political situation.
In more local news, the Sinhala and Tamil New Year will dawn in exactly 2 more days, and Sri Lankans are all geared up to welcome the new beginning, despite the obstacles and challenges. The Sinhala and Tamil New Year, colloquially referred to as the Sinhala and Tamil Alut Aurudu, is one of the most anticipated festivals in Sri Lanka. The festival is celebrated when the sun moves from Pisces to Aries, marking the end of the harvesting season. It is celebrated with a series of traditions, food and fun games that take place during the day and involve the entire community. Sri Lankans could not celebrate the Sinhala and Tamil New Year for 2 years due to the COVID pandemic and the economic crisis. This time around, Sri Lankans can be seen gearing up to welcome the New Year. People were seen purchasing food items and clothes for the New Year and also clean their homes to welcome the new beginning. Many cities in the country were crowded as a result of this. This was the situation in Colombo. Though many live in the cities amidst the hustle and bustle, a majority of them would be heading to their hometowns to celebrate the New Year with their families. The National Transport Commission elaborated on transport services.
We expect a large number of people to leave Colombo for the new year. Usually around 1,000 to 1,200 buses leave Colombo. However, we have 3,200 buses registered with us and all these buses are ready. We have also prepared an additional 300 buses.
The Sri Lanka Transport Board has also prepared a special bus service for the new year.
We prepared a special transport service for the people leaving Colombo from the 8th to the 13th. SLTB depots also prepared an additional 300 buses. This service will operate from the central bus stand in Petta. Further, we have deployed our services to the Makumbura, Kadawatha and Kaduwela facilities.
Sri Lanka Railways also said that a special train service will be in place for the new year. Deputy General Manager of Railways MJ Indipolage told News First that special services will be provided to those heading to their hometowns for the new year. Sri Lanka Police also warned of public safety and the protection of property.
We have seen women wearing gold jewelry and heading to populated areas. There are groups that target them. We cannot follow every single person, so there are groups that take advantage of this situation. So we urge you to be extra careful when heading out. In addition, do not leave your helmets on motorcycles as there are people who steal them. Pay close attention to your vehicles. In addition, do not engage and share information with taxi service drivers. We have also deployed intelligence services to monitor situations at major stores.
This is the festive season. Generally, during this period, there are frequent reports of accidents that happen during excursions and trips. We urge you to be more cautious and safe while traveling because your life is important to your loved ones. During the past 24 hours, 6 people have died and 5 people, including children, have sustained injuries in road accidents in many parts of the island.
A motorcyclist died in a road accident along the Kegol-Polghavila road in Kesalwatgoda, Devaligama. News First correspondent said the accident was reported when a motorcycle collided with a three-wheeler around 7:30 on Tuesday night. A motorcyclist who sustained serious injuries in the accident died while being taken to the hospital. A person was admitted to the Maravilla Base Hospital after sustaining serious injuries in an accident in Hattinia along the Chilau-Colombo main road. News First correspondent said the accident was reported around 11 on Tuesday night when a van travelling from Rajagiri to Tambagalla Madampe collided with a container. An accident was reported when a three-wheeler collided with a lorry in Pitabadara, Matara. A woman and her son who was travelling in the three-wheeler were admitted to the Karapitia Base Hospital after sustaining injuries.
A search and rescue operation is underway to locate the 2 teenage boys who went missing after going for a swim in the Walaway River in Balangoda.
Two teenage boys who had gone swimming in the Valavi River in Balangoda were reported missing on Tuesday. Police said search operations are being carried out to locate the two boys with the support of area residents as well. The two missing boys, aged 15 and 17 from Balangoda, had gone for a swim close to the Valley Haranava water pumping station on Tuesday evening.
An iftar was held on Tuesday at the Narahempita Abhayarama Vihara to mark the end of the daily Ramadan fast.
This iftar program was organized by Sri Lanka Islamic Centre and the Colombo Young Buddhist Association. The program was held under the auspices of religious leaders including Buddhist monks and Christian priests.
There was a misunderstanding between us due to different reasons. Programs like this are needed to minimize and prevent such misunderstandings. This is a very valuable act. Multi-religious cooperation is very important for us. If not, we cannot grow as a nation. Sinhala, Tamil, Muslim, Burgher, Malay. We all hope to live in a united Sri Lanka. This has set an example not only for the country but also for the world. This should not be limited for a day or a month. Instead, we should continue this program forever.
Scores of Sri Lankan farmers in Anuradhapura have been rendered helpless due to the absence of proper pesticides and weedicides.
This is the farming community living in Rambava, Anuradhapura, and this is the period that they prepare their paddy lands for the yellow season. The previous harvesting seasons caused serious issues to the farmers as the country was plagued by the fertilizer crisis and the disease that turned rice plants yellow. These farmers not only did not receive an expected yield, they were also rendered helpless as the government failed to purchase paddy at a fixed rate as promised. These farmers claim that if the authorities continue to turn a blind eye to their issues, they cannot be certain that a proper harvest can be reaped in future harvesting seasons.
A Kuwaiti media outlet says it has created a virtual news presenter using artificial intelligence. Feda made her debut on the Twitter account of Kuwait News, an affiliate of the Kuwait Times. She appears as an image of a woman with light-coloured hair, wearing a black jacket and white t-shirt. Abdullah Boftain, deputy editor-in-chief for Kuwait News, told AFP news agency the move tested AI's potential to offer new and innovative content. Kuwait is not the first country to unveil an AI-generated news presenter. In 2018, China's state news agency unveiled its own virtual news reader, sporting a sharp suit and a somewhat robotic voice. The Russian parliament has approved legislation to start serving call-up papers online. The Kremlin has denied the move is aimed at speeding up further mobilization of Russian men or putting a stop to widespread draft dodging. Thousands of Russians have avoided the draft to escape the war in Ukraine. Critics say the law is further evidence of authorities creating an electronic gulag, referring to the Soviet-era network of prison camps. Until now, conscription papers in Russia have had to be served in person or via an employer. In reality, it has meant many avoiding the draft by moving away from where they were registered to live or simply not opening the door when military officials came calling. At least 53 people have been killed, according to survivors, in one of the deadliest airstrikes by the Myanmar military in the civil war. They say that the dead include at least 15 women and a number of children. Tuesday's attack targeted a village in the northwestern Sagaing region, which has opposed the military government. The military has increasingly used airstrikes against their opponents since seizing power in February 2021. Communists in Sagaing have put up some of the strongest opposition to military rule in Myanmar, forming their own militias and running their own schools and clinics. Mumbai Indians opened their 2023 IPL account with a 6-wicket win against Delhi Capitals. Mumbai Indians opened their account in the ongoing edition of the Indian Premier League as they eked a thrilling 6-wicket win over Delhi Capitals at the Arun Jaitley Stadium on Tuesday. Aksa Patel played a sensational 25-ball 54 to bail Delhi out of danger after they were reduced to 98 for 5. Apart from him, David Warner hit yet another half-century before getting out for 51. Meanwhile, Mumbai did an exceptional job in the death overs and picked the final 5 batters in 10 balls. Jason Birandov and Piyush Chawla shared 3 wickets each. Chasing a stiff 173, Mumbai got off to a flying start with Rohit Sharma and Ishan Kishan adding 71 runs for the opening wicket. That's a wrap of the lunchtime news. Join us again at 9 p.m. for primetime news on TV1.